Very nice evening here. Welcome to another edition of Overwatch UGC League Season 18 Beginners League Division. As we are into the next round of good old competition, and it doesn't really matter what division it is, even though it's beginners, it's always exciting to see some of the best teams make it far. Tonight, number 3 Iridium, who are 7-2, were the champions of last year's beginner division, going up against the number 6 throwing her bad. Hello everyone, I am Adamsmasher, and joining me is Karma. Now Karma, Iridium is looking to repeat their success from last year, but even if they get by with a win tonight, they're going to still have to deal with some tough teams ahead of them, like most likely Deep Dish.
Oh yeah, and they looked good throughout the season, but that's going to be one matchup that if they do make it past us, that we're going to have to look forward to in the future.
Yeah, like I said, tough competition ahead of them. Yeah, the road to repeat is not going to be easy for them at all, and that's not a good start, at least in Oasis, as Abstract takes down Unfeatured, and now you lose your support right off the bat. But there's a kill up there, and seeing some trade-offs, but still anybody's fight right here. Both the DPS from the side of Throw is out, and now Iridium is starting to get their footing in this first point as Lego, the big major tank of Throw, is out of the fight, and unfortunately the captain Smarties, well, it's been flatlined, and already Polo releasing the sound barrier. 2 will benefit, and Saya gets one already. And this fight is still going on. This might be one of the longest first fights we'd ever seen. Keegs retreats, takes Barry with him with a self-destruct, but not gonna matter very much. Justy won't get a one at all, but point will go to Iridium after a long fight.
Yeah, you'd think after losing your main tank first with Unfeatured, like that would just sort of crumble the entire team. But Iridium X stayed strong and was able to turn the fight, even though it looked like it was going to be headed in Throwing Her Bad's favor.
And that just shows why they were champions last year. You lose a member, you're not phased at all. And meanwhile, both Ambassadors are out, but Unfeatured gets a fire strike on Saya, who gets flatlined by that. And Veli gonna have to hold off on Meteor Strike just a little bit longer, and this might be another team fight win. The other 3 members are just gonna retreat for the time being.
Yeah, you lose that Lucio very early. You don't have speed. You can't really move around, especially in this brawl comp. So it's going to be very difficult for them, especially since they have that all-in sort of brawl comp with the Doom and the Reaper. So with that, they weren't able to actually engage. They just sort of stayed there, and Iridium X were able to just run them down.
They got both DPS ults on standby. So does the Earthshatter from Lego, which we've seen Lego do a lot of. Here comes the Blizzard. This is usually a dangerous one. Abstract is going to unleash them. Gets taken out by Fairy, but not before taking out Polo with the bed boss of Valley. Doing some damage right here. Meteor Strike is going to take out Stick Drift, and looks like Throwing Her Bad is eventually going to get this point, while Everclips gets taken out of the fight. And I think with Jussie out, that's some less health left over, and there's the flip right there.
Yeah, even though like it looked like it was just gonna be an immediate win for Iridium, Valley was like, I got something to say about this. Pull out the Doomfist tricks, pulled out the Meteor Strike, and just went to town completely.
Now imagine if this were Overwatch 2, would you think Valley would still play Doomfist? But we'll answer that one later on as we get ready for this next team fight with Barry unleashing the Photon Barrier. But Smarties does have the M-Matrix ready, but the Earthshatter does get quite a bit of value, but not much, with Keeks getting a kill on Barry. We've gotten some trade-offs, and I think Lego, my ego, just taking out Polo right there and then, and yeah, Throwing Her Bad is gonna hold.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw as well. Unfeatured went for the Shatter on the Smarties to try to take out that healing from the Baptiste, and they just jumped over it. Like, they were just like, my boots are bigger than yours, and they just jumped over it completely.
Yeah, normally we see a lot of good shatters, and sometimes we see some good avoidances there, and like you said, jumping over right there. Sticky Drift will reveal the Amp Matrix, try for some area denial. But here comes the bull, but it gets absorbed by Keys, saying, oh no, we're not gonna have this Winter Storm here. Justy, meanwhile, is gonna engulf Lego with the self-destruct. Every member of Iridium is gonna be benefiting from the extra shields. Abstract not gonna be able to get anything with the Dead Eyes, and unfortunately is gonna pay the price. And we're seeing bodies just drop from throwing her pad. Smarties is gonna try to get something out of the Amp Matrix, and I don't think she's gonna be able to get much out of that one. As Unfeatured saying, no, you leave that Amp Matrix out of this one.
Yeah, Smarties use that Amp Matrix to try to just keep Lego My Ego up, and they just weren't able to with the DM of Josie.
And while you said that, Belly just gets instantly deleted. Both DPSs deleted by Fairy, and unfortunately, while we are at overtime, we do have a pause happening, and unfortunately, Stick Drift had a disconnect, and I have some sympathy for Stick Drift, as I've had some internet issues happen to me in the past during these casts.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult as well for them to win this fight without their Baptiste there. Yes, Throwing Our Bad already are down their 2 DPS, but they have the Ryan, they have the Lucio, they have basically the key members of a Brawl with a Moira now, so that way they'll have that AoE healing. Not as much, but you'll still have that over heal a bit.
And not forget the fact that Lego does have that Earth Shatter, but gotta be shuddering, like anticipating Unfeatured having that Earth Shatter as well if I were Throwing Her Bad. But both tanks will have ults on standby, and hopefully we have an update on Stick Drift. Hopefully his internet connection gets back online.
One thing as well that I want to talk about before we come back from the pause is that we have Keegan up with the bomb as well, whereas the entirety of Iridium X don't really have anything. The closest is the May ult, which is 79%. So it's going to be one of those things where it's like, if Lego is able to get that Shatter over Unfeatured, and they'll just drop that bomb, if you look right now, all of them are in a one straight line.
Oh,
Get the Shatter off, get the bomb, that could be a teamfight win right there off of this DC, which is unfortunate, but it happens. Like, obviously we're not at land, so we can't control it, but it's one of those things that's like, if it happens, it happens.
Oh yes, indeed. Like I said, and yes, Unfeatured, the tank of the Reinhardt, saying, Stick Drift, he is coming back, and Stick Drift, he is back in the game, so we'll be getting be unpaused shortly. And while we're here, Season 18, we have UGC League has been sponsored by Vite Ramen since, I believe it's Season 15, and we'll get to that later on. But we are ready to go again. The pause is going to be unpaused real soon, and this potentially final fight here is going to be ready to go. We got Earth Shatter on the side of Iridium, Earth Shatter and soon to be self-destruct going to be happening on the side of Throwing Or Bad. 2 DPSs out. Oh. Here comes Lego. That's a huge one. And like you mentioned there, let's see. Oh, unfortunately, only is able to get Barry beside that, but we'll take out another player in Unfeatured. So, not all hope is Velik is back in the fight, takes out Polo. And like you said there, Karma, even though they didn't get much value, it was enough, but no, unfortunately, no! Oh, what happened right there? It looked like they were about to flip the point and then just touched for a second from what I've seen, and Iridium caught a lucky break, and they're gonna be taking Oasis University.
Yeah, and they did everything right too. They got the Shatter. Yes, they didn't get the Rhine, but they still got 2. They were able to trade some players out. They were able to clear the bomb, get somebody come back. Veli came back with the Doomfist. Last second, stopped the beat from Polo, and then they just C9'd. They weren't able to communicate who was touching the point right at the right time through that beat, and that's just unfortunate timing for Throwing Her Bad.
Oh, they might really know how Houston Outlaws of the Overwatch League feels. Houston Outlaws have been unfortunate victims of a lot of C9s this year from what I've observed. And now, add another one to there in any level of Overwatch competition. And now we head on over to the city center, and we had to switch. Everclips is opting to go for the Sombra this time around, hopefully to get some hacks going, try to ruin the momentum on the other team. I think the biggest target, I would say, was going for Saya, so the music does not work. However, Keegs does get a melee blow, which looks like got an environmental kill on Unfeatured, who switched to the Hammond there moments ago, and now you lost both your tanks, and now the point gets flipped over. And if you are the members of Iridium X, you might need to retreat. Well, never mind that. I spoke too soon. Stickdrift saying, we're not retreating. I already took down Lego my Ego. I'm taking those Egos right here. We're still in this. Felly's gonna get hacked. So no cryo freeze just yet. Well, really didn't need it. Fairy, unfortunately, will take out a immortality field. And I think this is gonna be a retreat, and we got another pause, unfortunately.
I hope it's not Stickdrift because they have trans. So if he comes back and it's okay, it's just ping issues. But yeah, like going back to it, I want to talk about the comps a little bit because Iridium X is going to that ball comp, so it's a lot of just trying to disrupt the throwing or bad team. And right now with them playing the brawl and having the point at 26% already, it's going to be difficult for them to actually just collapse on top of them, especially since they're playing the sort of, I call it coast sort of stair side really, really well. So that way Unfeatured and Fairy aren't able to get that sort of open engages into them and are able to surround them.
So anyways, yeah, the biggest momentum killer would be Everclips hacking Saya. And like I mentioned before, you hack Saya, you're not going to be able to benefit from a speed boost or from the healing at all. And that's like no music, and that used to never be the case back in the days. And now with those happening, with Sombra getting buffed to hack of Farah out of the sky, not being able to fly, it really has made the Sombra much better in the meta here than in the past. And can you imagine what she's like in Overwatch 2? I think they might have upped her game up a little more. Zenyatta, on the other hand, oh my goodness, have you seen him in Overwatch 2? His kick is like, this is Sparta. It pushes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun playing it in Overwatch 2. Coming back to Overwatch 1, it's difficult to get that change back being a flex support player and like, okay, I'm playing Zen 24/7 and it's like, okay, I got my kick, I got my 50 plus HP, even though they're changing it back. I'm like, okay, cool, I can kick players away. And then it's like, I come back to this game, it's like, oh, I have 0 peel for myself, so I gotta rely on my team. And it's very, very unfortunate sometimes, especially when you're playing comp.
So anyways, we're getting ready to go, and our pause is about to end very soon. Abstract does have the Deadeyes on standby, so last time the Deadeyes was used, Abstract wasn't able to get much value. Stickdrift, he is ready to save his team at any moment with that Transcendence. And also just in case Smarties uses her amplification matrix. You imagine how much like if you're not able to get kills with the amp matrix, it's always good to use it as an area denial tool.
Oh yeah.
So now back into the fight. Looks like Throwley's going back there, and Keeks gets hit with a hack. Abstract ready to get for the Deadeye. I don't know if they're gonna get anything. Here comes the mines are gonna come out, but Abstract does get a Deadeye on Unfeatured, so out of the fight Unfeatured goes, and Justy's about to be going as well. Never mind, Justy is gonna stay alive and take out Abstract. No mech, no problem, but Valley utilizing the May really well, just getting the freeze, being able to keep themselves healthy, and Unfeatured is just getting melted and bullied on the point, and they finally just put him out of the misery. And looks like they might hold here when you have Stick Drift gone. Now your both supports gone. But Everclips does have that EMP ready to go for the next fight.
Yeah, that's gonna be one. That's gonna be basically the major win con for Iridium X as they swap back to this brawl style. But they have that EMP, and Saya does have beat. So if they're able to catch him with it and just completely negate the beat, it could be a team fight win for Iridium X.
Unfortunately, Keeg not able to get anything with it. There's 5 members.
They don't touch.
Oh, but nobody touched. It doesn't even matter. That looked like a C9, another one? But on the side of throwing to each team, C9? Well, this is unheard of. We're getting ready for our last round here.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just the C9 or just poor, like, time management, I guess, maybe? They just decided to not touch. They were going to go for that early... Throwing or Bad actually did a really good job. They're going for that early fight, trying to get them distracted, which they did a really good job. But then they just weren't... the Sombra was there to touch, but they were like, okay, we get the 6-man EMP, or do I touch? And I feel like they should have touched first and then gotten that EMP as soon as they all turned around to try to deal with it.
Oh, man. There's just so much that your brain has to process in this game. You gotta get a team fight win, gotta pay attention to the payload, gotta focus on staying alive. There's just so much you gotta do in order to stay alive and try to help your team win in these games. It's just one part of your brain gets distracted by the other, and it just causes some disruptions that happen. Meanwhile, Fairy is getting things going. 2 members out on throwing or bad, and 3 members, well, make that 5 members going on to the point, and Lego just retreats and is just gonna let Iridium take the point for now.
Yeah, I'm actually super surprised that that Lego or that throwing or bat decided to swap into the ball comp instead of just running like sort of like a brawl monkey sort of zombie comp like we see Iridium X doing. But we could see it maybe work for them this time, but who knows?
And we'll see what this zombie comp that consists of our favorite ape can do. Well, Everclip's able to make an example of Smarties with that comp. Here comes the Coalescence. Gonna keep the team healthy. Gonna try to drain the health of the other team. Won't get much damage, but gets a lot of value out of that, keeping the team completely healthy. It does help at least Iridium keep the point.
Yeah, and they were able to keep the point, so that's about 40% now. But throwing or bat are actually finally coming up with an early EMP and an early pulse bomb, so they're coming up with a lot of ults here that could be basically game-winning fights already.
Yeah, we've seen time and time again how bad the EMP can be to the other team, but only able to get Jussie. And now all the ults except for Minefield is coming out. Jussie able to take down Abstract. Abstract thought, here comes self-destruct, and Keek's gonna try to answer. Does get a mech kill on Polo. So I guess Keeks could say there's some value in that as well, but Saya, unfortunately, both your supports are gone, unfortunately. There's no healing left, but Keeks trying to keep this alive. It takes out 2 of their own, so still some hope, and unfeatured, that's another kill by Keeks. So this is anybody's game still here. A lot of trades, but when you lose the supports, most of the time you're just delaying the inevitable, and you're seeing Keeks just gonna be getting deleted real soon, and I don't know if that would have been a good Death Blossom there. I would have probably tried to save it for later, but knowing with how many members of Throwing or Bad is being taken out, and with Belly getting hacked, it really doesn't matter. That Death Blossom was valuable in the long run, and Iridium will take Oasis.
Yeah, and it just seemed like, I guess I don't know if they've been practicing it, but it just seemed like it was the wrong move for them to swap off of that brawl that they were looking really solid on to go into this ball comp that you need a lot of coordination, a lot of this and a lot of that, and they just looked outmatched completely on that ball comp.
Yeah, and look at Fairy just melting through 3 members in that fight at University, which they won through a C9. 25 objective kills, 37 eliminations so far in the Oasis, pretty much.
that's a match that's like it with the different stages of Oasis too. You can see a lot of different comps. So I'm sort of surprised that we actually saw Throwing Her Bad decide to go out on that brawl on Jump Pad or City Center, and it's just and then throw out the ball comp on Garden. You feel like it would be sort of be swapped because Brawl is a lot better on the Garden instead of the other one.
So Unfeatured is gonna go ahead and try to restart the game. So we'll see for 30 seconds. So while Unfeatured's trying to restart the computer, I would say we could say that UGC League is sponsored once again by our good friends at Vite Ramen. And Vite Ramen, official ramen, I should say, it's the high protein noodle that does it all. Head on over to UGC shop.viteramen.com/discount/UGC. Use the code UGC at checkout after you order whichever delicious ramen you would like, and save 10% on your order. Now it's me thinking about Vite Ramen right now after that one, but anyways, Unfeatured hopefully gets the issues worked out, back in the fight. So next time, we're heading to Junkertown here, and Iridium is opting to attack first this time. So what would be the plans for them? They're hoping to go for a high aggression, and then hopefully their defense can get a full hold.
Well, actually, Throwing Her Bad is one for defense because it's the loser picks. So I'm excited to see what they have on defense for it. But also for Iridium X, they actually swapped Everclips and Stefan. So Stefan is in, I believe. I don't think he was in last game, unless I'm forgetting stuff. But it's going to be exciting to see Junkertown because you can see all these sort of different comps. It's been sort of ruled by this double shield, very slow, very methodical, double sniper. Try to get your snipers to get picks. But we could also see a brawl. We could see sort of like a Sigma comp come out, Sigma Hog, Sigma Ball. So it's going to be exciting to see what all these different comps that these guys can run can play. We saw Throwing Her Bad be confident in that brawl. So we could see them come out in that and probably hold that spawn door very aggressively.
And unfortunately, Unfeatured is disconnected again. So we're gonna be waiting just a little while longer. And the game crashed, unfortunately. So hopefully according to Stefan, it said literally just happening 30 minutes ago. And Unfeatured is back in, so hopefully we don't see any more crashes happening here. It can happen to anyone, and just hopefully it just doesn't happen to any of us.
Yeah, it's one of those things too that's like at least it's happening now in the menu and not in the game in the middle of a fight where it's a crucial fight that we saw, like how we saw Stick Drift, like we saw Strict Drift DC.
Oh yeah, definitely true. You never want to lose anybody, especially when you're in a life or death situation like a final fight territory, which could determine pretty much the winner of the game, the map, the series. But anyways, talking about double snipers in Junkertown, and you're definitely right. Right before point A, there's a lot of open fields you could use to get some sniping action in. Pretty easy though to get a self-destruct kill in that open area as well. So you're right, you got a little bit of a little brawler thing there for the side of Iridium, and we're gonna see a double bubble cup, but Justy decides to switch on over to the Roadhog. So this is an interesting pick there, going for some aggression. Stefan is deciding to go for the Reaper, so this is a smart choice, especially going up against Lego's Wrecking Ball, who doesn't even have any. No, it does have I want to say, I forget, 200 of armor, but for Reapers, well, never mind. Stefan is going to go ahead and switch back to the Tracer then to go for some flukes. And here we are, and Harry's going to go Widow to try to counter Abstract's Widow. Like I always said, counter to a sniper. The counter to a Widow is another Widow. but from what I've observed during these Overwatch matches lately.
Purple.
And now the payload is continuing to move, and throwing is making Iridium is making some slow progress. Not really slow, it's just throwing is like allowing a little bit of progress, trying to go for the zone, and this is not working out as both the supports are already been deleted off the face of the planet here, and that is a huge start for Iridium right there.
Yeah, Iridium was playing that perfectly. They were able to get those anti-nades, monkey dive sort of combo right perfect. We saw it in the first pot against Keeg on the Sigma, just trying to get those purples. Was able to get it onto Saya on the Brig. And so with throwing our bad comp, it's sort of just to deny the Widow space. But if you're denying the Widow space and everybody else is going big for them, then you need to make swaps. You need to do this. We already saw the swap onto Diva instead of a Sigma, so they're going onto that full ball comp, but it could be something that could be detrimental to them in the long run.
And a little big note there, Iridium just went through that first point, not a single contest, or very little contesting happened there. And yeah, you have a little under 5 minutes to go to try to get the payload to the second point already. But here comes a nano gorilla on the loose. Not very angry at all. Not going to be able to get much, but does provide a little bit of pressure and pushes them back a little bit. But Keeg is saying, yeah, no nano gorillas here in this stage. I'm sending him 6 feet under the ground, and that's going to be a little bit of a hold for right now. Oh my goodness, Abstract gets his head just shot right off by Fairy.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the big things, too, is especially going against the Widow, is that you don't know, if you don't know where they are, you can't peek. And obviously, with Abstract swapping off the Widow, it's going to be difficult for them to re-engage.
And now the minefield will be dropped onto the payload, trying to make sure that the stall happens, but, well, that's unfortunately not going to work very well. Unfeatured is going to head and sponge all the damage. Hey, here we got an Ash coming out here. Meanwhile, Stick Drift gets taken out by Abstract, and unfortunately, Keeg drops the payload, or I should say self-destruct, into Unfeatured's shield, and just pretty much does nothing right there. Smarties is going to try to keep her team alive for the moment, but with Abstract gone, you don't have much DPS to go, and we're seeing the result of this right here and now. We're seeing a lot of throwing your bad bodies being dropped right there as Iridium gets to the second point.
Yeah, Iridium's just controlling these fights, getting those early engages, getting those early purple kills with Unfeatured's dive, and it just looks like that throwing or bad are just unmatched. Like, it's just, they're making these plays that could seem good, but it's like they're just a little bit too slow in making those plays.
Oh, you saw earlier, Unfeatured and Lego were having the same ideas, going for the high ground, and Lego just pretty much had to retreat when I think Jussie came along, but Keegs is gonna meet Unfeatured and just delete him off the face of the planet right there. But look at Stick Drift trying to get some long shots, trying to get shots. So there's a nice sleep right there. Oh my goodness! Enough time for Stefan to stick a pulse bomb onto Abstract. Oh, what a nice shot! A sleep dirt shot out of Stick Drift, which gave Stefan just enough time to get the stick on Abstract.
Yeah, that was perfect timing and like perfect coordination, because you had to know that they were close to it, and it might have just been a lucky sleep, but it could be something completely different.
Yeah, luck or skill, it doesn't matter. The plays like that are huge in all levels of Overwatch. Even League. Another minefield will drop on the payload. Will take out Stick Drift. Abstract does take care of Stefan. Oh, that's a little revenge from earlier when Stefan put a pulse bomb on Abstract while he was asleep. He's saying, "You don't stick me while I'm trying to take my nap right here."
Yeah, but they were able to finally turn that fight, but they used a lot of ults, to be completely honest. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you finally get past this. You finally are able to get the stop on this payload. Now how do you keep it stopped? How do you keep it rolling backwards? So that way Iridium X doesn't cap it with almost 3 minutes on the clock.
And 3 minutes is what they have to get that payload to the end. So a lot of things can happen here, whether you get the full hold or whether your defense implodes, like the Bills and Chiefs both in that divisional round. But anyways, Barry taking care of business on both those DPSs from throwing. Smarties is gonna try to keep her remaining teammates alive, but it may be enough time to help get the DPSs back in the fight. But unfortunately, Saya's not gonna be living to see the rest of this fight going, and neither are Smarties or Lego. So losing your DPSs could be here. Here comes a self-destruct flying over. It's gonna take Barry out of the fight. So there's a little chance for throwing to be able to keep a hold on defense, but not really matter. Veli does get the kill on Stick Drift. Stefan, however, gets another Pulse Bomb kill. This time, Keeks is the unfortunate victim, and Stefan is continuing on a rampage. We're seeing trades happening, but when trades happen, they usually benefit the defense, and we're seeing that right there as Iridium almost got to the end, but throwing is going to hold for the time being.
Yeah, and the one thing that's really good with throwing's comp is that they're able to come back so fast from the defense, because that spawn is right there, and with them having very high mobility champs, they're just able to keep throwing bodies at the payload, keep throwing bodies. As soon as you kill one, another one pops up. So it's just that conversation of trying to keep killing people. But they were just able to sort of outwill Iridium X.
And here we are, approaching a minute left in the match, as Stick Drift does have that nano boost on standby. However, Veli does have the pulse on, which could cause some fairly just big disruptions to occur here. And here comes Nano Gorilla on the loose and unfeatured. He's anti-nated, but gonna chase down Veli. And now we got Angry Gorilla. Just is gonna finish Veli off. We got an Angry Ape on the loose. Slept for the moment, but damage in time wakes back up and continuing the angry rampage, and now anti-nated. Close to spawn point of the throwing or bad. Barry's gonna try to find someone, and by that finding Abstract, who's just unfortunate victim of another ult. This time the Deadeyes, and we're seeing trades happening again. Iridium is gonna need to get some finishing blows happening. They are approaching overtime. And it looks like overtime will happen, but it's not gonna matter, not gonna last long. They're gonna get the full 3 points completion here in round 1.
You saw Throwing Her Bad do really well in trying to contest the payload and just holding onto it for like those final few seconds, but it was just too much. Iridium X was just too much. They just kept on they had those ults and they were able to rotate them very, very well. And they were just finally, okay, overtime hit, respawn started to talk up a little bit, and they were just able to push it before Lego was able to touch again.
So Iridium wanted to attack first. They may have taken them all the time, but they did get the full completion of Junkertown. So now they're playing on defense. There's some pressure, but not as big as what it could have been if throwing held on to cut him just short. So worst case scenario, we'll be seeing some extra innings happening here if throwing does complete Junkertown as well. They're hoping they can complete it with at least a second off, so they don't have to attack second. But with Iridium attacking first, I don't know if it really matters much when you attack first or not if you're Iridium. Because, like I said before, it's basically flip of a coin, whether you want to kick it off first or receive for the first half of the game or defer for the second half. That's pretty much what it is right there.
Yeah. And Throwing Our Bad is coming back out on this ball sig comp to start point 1 that they weren't able to really touch the payload with. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work it on the attack rather than the defense.
Alrighty, unfeatured going for the Orisa this time around. Gonna at least have a shield there. That shield didn't even last long at all right there, and neither did unfeatured. Abstract getting some pressure on, and with some help from Smarties is Discord orbs there. So now it's a 5v6 scenario right here, and Lego's gonna go aggressive, going near the first point of this Junkertown, and looks like they're at least keeping Iridium pushed back for the time being. Wow, Storm Arrow kill happening on Stick Drift with some help from Saya's damage booster. Oh, those Storm Arrows can be quite deadly.
Yeah, and especially with only really having one shield, it's going to be difficult for them to hide up behind it, especially since that shield is just getting melted completely from the side of Iridium X.
Look at him just going off on the members of Iridium, just taking out half the team right there, and it looks like they're about to get this under control and get this first push going.
Yeah, and we saw, the faster cap, and we saw Felly just go off on the Hanzo, trying to keep making those picks, and we see Unfeatured and the whole Iridium X just decide to swap back to the double bubble comp.
Yeah, that double bubble comp really served him well. We saw Fairy take out Abstract right off the bats there to help get a little disruption going. And Fairy almost has an Infrasights ready to go. Abstract gonna be getting everybody in their sights. And now everybody's visible on the side of throwing her bat, and they can see what's going on, and Unfeatured's gonna try and benefit from that and try to pressure Abstract, chasing Abstract down, and Abstract is just no more in that fight. Meanwhile, Belly trying to survive, Stefan trying to use the speed and evasiveness of the Tracer to try to take Belly down, not gonna be able to do so at all. Here comes the Dragon Strikes, and everybody on the side of Iridium is gonna be able to avoid that one, and looks like Iridium's gonna hold for now, but you got two tank ults and a Transcendence on standby on the side of throwing.
Yeah, and losing that Widow first, especially in that last fight, is one of those things that it's like, once that sort of pressure from the Widow is released, it's going to be very easy to just let your entire team just run after them. Now we see Abstract swapping over to the Ash, so it's a little bit more of a, you can get out a lot easier with that coach gun if you have it up if the monkey decides to dive you, but it's still going to be one of those things where it's like, you still got to pay attention to it, because a headshot and a dynamite will just kill a squishy instantly.
Oh, we saw Stefan and Belly have a little tracer duel in the corridors. Both gonna retreat, but Stefan does have the pulse bomb ready to go. Fairy saying, you can switch to whatever you want, but I'm still getting that headshot on you. But Smarties gets stiffened before releasing her Transcendence to keep the team healthy. And Unfeatured goes taken for a ride, but it's gonna get healed up. And by the nano boost, you got Primal Rage on standby, and now it's gonna be released, and Smarties feels the wrath of Unfeatured right there. And now you got Infrasights back out, and now you're not gonna be able to hide or try to surprise Iridium anymore, at least until the Infrasights is expired, and you can see Unfeatured going aggressive, and they're gonna go ahead and retreat for now. They got this payload on hold for now, and this payload is going backwards right now.
Yeah, and we also saw Smarties use that Transcendence last fight, so they're not gonna have it for Justy's grab this fight. I don't know if it was just a miscommunication, thinking like, oh, they had the grab already, but they were only like 45% away, so now they have it, and guess what? They don't have the trans this fight.
And Abstract again getting headshotted by, I think Fairy just pretty much has Abstract's number. That's like 3 or 4 headshots Fairy's got on Abstract, pretty much in Junkertown alone here, and looks like Keegs is just getting chased down like Shaggy and Scooby getting chased down by the monsters in the Scooby-Doo shows. Had to make a comparison on that one. Saya does have, but yeah, here comes the Graviton Surge, and that's gonna prove to be some good value there. Didn't get much, but enough value to know that you're gonna be winning this team fight right there, and you're gonna continue to hold on and drain more clock out.
Yeah, you now have both support outs on the side of throwing her bad, but it's just a little bit too late. I think they got the rally, but it was just nothing that they could live through it. So they're going to try to fight this with only a minute left, whereas Iridium X basically they've got 4 ults up almost right now.
Yeah, Fairy has everybody in their sights. No surprise attacks from throwing once again, and Iridium has really benefited from the from the infra sites. Here comes the Transcendence, try to keep the team alive for now, and Smarties will eventually find Fairy and take them out of this fight. So she's not giving up on this fight just yet. Neither is her team, but Stefan saying, I'm not sure about that just yet, Smarties. Why don't you get taken back to the spawn room for the moment? Lego, however, saying, you saying that to my captain? How about you meet my minefield and die from that one? We're still into this for the time being, at least. So here comes the self-destruct, seeing if they get anything, and no! Oh, oh, it looked like almost got somebody with a mech call there, but not able to get one this time around. We're seeing trades happening. It's both. Pulse Bomb's not gonna get anything. Jussie doesn't look like it's anything with the Grav Surge, but I'm not sure if that's gonna matter. Although Lego does make it onto the point, but it's just gonna delay the inevitable. And then by inevitable, I mean Iridium taking Junkertown and moving on to match point.
Yeah, Iridium was just playing that super well with the Ana and the monkey dives, just being able to get some purples and just like basically just as soon as Fairy got dove, it seemed like it was a 6-man retreat to try to keep the carry alive. Even though everybody had those pop-off moments, this was Fairy's map and we were just living in it.
And look at Polo just helping dish out a lot of the damage in that final fight there. The captain of this team. Helping to make sure that this team is getting ready to go for match point. So here we are, 2-0. It's in favor of Iridium, looking like their champion selves from last season. So as we get ready to head to Eichenwalde, Iridium, they look like they're ready to go. But if your throwing are bad, what would be some adjustments you would need to do here?
I would say if I'm the captain for throwing her bad, if I'm the captain and I just saw our last 2 performances, get rid of that ball comp right now. Obviously, it looks good, it looks decent, but go back to that brawl. You guys were winning on that brawl comp. Yes, you guys lost a library or a university because of just a C9, but it's one of those things where it's like you could come in and you could probably run it, especially on Eichenwalde where it's such first point is very brawl heavy. I would want you guys to go back to that brawl and just try to run them over. If you're Iridium, obviously you guys are just sort of playing really well. The one comp that you guys did bad on was the ball comp, and we only saw that one time. So I think they figured it out that they're like, okay, we're not going to touch the ball comp today. It's not really our thing right now. Let's just keep running the zombie comp, keep running the brawl, and just keep doing well with it.
And the double bubble comp really worked well for the Iridium. Jussie getting those bubbles on the teammates to get some power up and keep the team safe for the time being, unfeatured. Able to provide some pretty good primal rage kills, and I think Stick Drift was the one on the Ana on that match, was able to keep unfeatured alive with the nano boost on one of those fights. So we've seen a lot of nano ape going on there. And like I said, for those watching, Winston,
he's a monkey in my heart.
and that's your opinion. Yeah, like nothing wrong with that.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you just sort of scream it out as soon as when you're playing. If you're in the middle of playing, I think everybody is just screaming the first thing that comes to their mind. Like I remember when Baptiste Immortality Field came out, everybody was screaming lamp because that's what it is. It's a giant lamp. And you go back to what the game developers were saying, and they're like, yeah, when we first called it, we called it lamp, but then we decided to change it because it didn't seem right.
So deep dish pizza from the update we just got, 3-0'd Boomers and Zoomers, winners of last week's broadcast. So we'll be seeing them in, I think it's the semifinals or the semifinals So there is a good chance Iridium could meet Deep Dish in the grand finals. If they want to keep their title repeat alive, they will. If they can take down Throwing a Bat and Eichenwalde here and now, they'll have to first play Bandicoot or 3DG Esports, whoever wins that match, and then after that, they'll be meeting, most likely, due to how well they've been playing, they'll most likely have to deal with Deep Dish to try to keep their title repeat alive.
Yeah, and the way that we've been seeing them play today, it looks like almost inevitable that we'll see Iridium come out and more than likely make the grand finals. But who knows? That maybe we could have an upset here, Throwing her bad, just reverse sweep them, or just have Bandicoots come out on top. It's something that seems like no matter what, they'll be within the top 3. They'll have a podium spot almost no matter what, it seems like.
Oh, yes, anything can happen. For example, look what happened to the San Francisco Shock in the grand finals in midseason madness. The Gladiators got one Dorado off a C9 against the Shock, which is usually very unheard of given how deadly the Shock has been in the regular season and throughout most of the midseason madness playoffs.
Yeah, so who knows? It could be something that it could be one of those things where it's like we could see a repeat, and I think a lot of people would not be surprised if we were to see a repeat. But it's one of those it could happen. Anything could happen.
You mean like the Cincinnati Bengals' unlikely Super Bowl or at least AFC champion run just last year, especially defeating the Titans, the #1 seed, and then eventually coming back 18 down to defeat the Chiefs in overtime. That is what we're talking about right there.
Hey, who knows? We might have a Joe Burrow in this competition this month.
I love it. Joe Burrow's a great athlete, but unfortunately, the big enemy would be an Aaron Donald or a Von Miller right there, with how good those defensive stars were. So, anyways, we are now getting ready to head into. We are in Eichenwalde right here and now. Iridium up 2-0. It was kind of a close in Oasis, but they pretty much just cruised their way through Junkertown. So they're just hoping they can just take out Throwing her bad just here and now, just to get ready to go to the semifinals. Throwing her bad pretty much have their work cut out for them. They need to win out their last 3 maps in order to get this win off, but anything can happen. And I've seen some good reverse sweeps before. For example, Talentless Esports being up 2-0 and then drawing in Hanamura before getting reverse swept by Vanguard.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things that we could be very good, especially since we do see Throwing her bad go back to that Brawl comp. So they could be something that we see them go back to and just absolutely destroy Iridium Exxon.
So looks like Throwing is going to be on the defense first again. Iridium, we've seen what they did last time when they attacked first. They completed the map. They're hoping they can do it again here in Eichenwalde. This time they do have a assault-like point to go through first before they can even get the payload going. It looks like payloads has been good to them lately. Ooh. And so far, yeah, this is the good start that Iridium is looking for. Both supports already buried 6 feet under the ground, and their best tank Lego is now out of the fight, and now bodies are flying, and this is just like Junkertown. This is a smooth first point capture right there.
Yeah, Fairy just sort of went on this sort of little short flank through the mini, and was just able to pick them off and be able to throw damage from the backline. So it's one of those things where it's like you got to pay attention to those flanks, you got to pay attention to all these little things, and it just seems that Iridium X is playing very well and just making those, and not making those same mistakes that Throwing her bad are.
And Polo opting to stay behind to try to get some progress on. Iridium willing to try and do a 5v6. A very aggressive approach here, and sometimes it pays off, although not really in this case here. Kage's already taken out unfeatured. It looks like they're going to have to retreat to the low ground, but Abstract saying, nah, Fairy, stop right there. Permanently, at least, until you spawn back into the spawn point again.
Yeah, but oh, Keegs. Oh, but yeah.
Wow, a blizzard absorbed again, but this time Keegs gets the absorption on Stefan there. So that's the second time we've seen a blizzard get absorbed by a defense matrix in this series. We saw that first at Oasis University at the beginning of this match here, but we got like 4 ults on standby on each side here, so we could be seeing some mayhem on the next team fight.
Oh yeah, and especially since both Baptistes already have their amp matrix up again.
Oh, here we go, and there's the block right there. Here comes, oh, Abstract getting denied a chance to even use that Deadeyes. Just saying, yeah, you're using Deadeye, well, you have a Deadeye right there, as in minus the eye part equals you are dead there, unfretted. Hits a couple, earth shattered right there. Another little good one there, and looks like Keegs will also get an absorbing on the Deadeyes as well. So that's 2 ultimates that Keegs have absorbed so far in this map alone, trying to keep this team alive and healthy away from those ultimates for pretty much dear life. But still, this fight continues. And unfeatured, and they're still, yep, they are still getting the kills. Veli does get a blizzard off, and Abstract benefits from it and take out unfeatured. But you only got the supports left. Abstract is down, and Saya will be out of the fight. And yeah, there you have it. And Payload is going to continue for Iridium.
I'm surprised that Iridium were able to turn that fight, because it looked like it was going to go all in for leg up for throwing her bad, but they just weren't able to win it. They were just able to slow it down just a bit, but they were still good.
Fairy trying to look for someone with the Deadeye. Oh, gets pushed away. But Fairy does force Keys out of the mech with that Deadeye. Earthshatter does come down, but unfeatured will go off the map. But Polo gets the boop on Belly, and yeah, there's gonna be another smooth transition into another point for Iridium, and they're hoping to end this round once and for all.
Yeah, they really are, and it just seems like Throwing Her Bad are playing this brawl fairly well, I would say. They've been able to make a few stops, but it just looks like Iridium is just like, that first map was just a warm-up map, and now they're just rolling through everything else. Yeah,
look at that stick drift, and using his amp matrix to the fullest, and he'll take out Lego doing that. So now you're close to the end, and you got a self-destruct, you got the sound barrier on standby to keep the team alive, and they're doing a great job to just pressure that team. There's a self-destruct, and that you mentioned, oh my goodness, I was gonna say the sound barrier is working well. Abstract saying, I disagree, gets 2 with the Deadeyes, and this round isn't over just yet, while the rest of the team just goes ahead and retreat, and it looks like Jesse's gonna just use self-destruct just to get another mech.
Yeah, and that was big from Abstract. They needed something big, and they were able to deliver. So now it looks like they're setting up with the Blizzard, so it could be something where if they just cycle these ults very, very well, it could be huge for them, and they could have come out in a win.
Oh, that's smart. Jesse gets frozen by Valley before the Blizzard comes out, so that's a smart play right there. The Blizzard coming out, and that's how Throwing Her Bad just won that team fight. That was just a high IQ move out of Valley right there.
Yeah, and now they have the amp field and the Noon back again, as well as another Shatter being very close. So who knows, if they keep cycling these ults, they could end up in just getting these time down lower throughout the entirety of the fight.
But be advised, you got Blizzard and Earthshatter on standby, and we've seen before how dangerous those 2 ults together can be, and now add in the Deadeyes right there. So Abstract's both of them are gonna use their Deadeyes, and neither of them are gonna get any value at all on that one. And both immortality fields being down, and looks like neither one's gonna get benefiting from this as much. But Earthshatter does come down on both sides, gets Keegs at least. But oh goodness, another Blizzard gets absorbed by Keegs. That's 3 ults absorbed, including 2 Blizzards in Eichenwalde alone. Keegs bringing the defensive guru here in Eichenwalde.
And that's they've just been playing out of their mind, especially on this map. Getting those 2 Blizzard hits, getting some extra plays off. Perry swaps to the Reaper to try to do a little bit more damage, but again, throwing her bat already have these ultimates already back up, and it's only a minute left on the clock, so it could be something where they just whittle the time down again, and they just aren't able to cap 3rd point.
Oh man, throwing is starting to get things together, and now you got the oh no, Polo just saying, Marco Polo, your Deadeyes has been denied. But here comes a Blizzard Valley saying, "No, I got your back there, Abstract. I'll help take care of some of the problems there." Stefan taken out of the fight via the Blizzard, or as you say, assistance from the Blizzard, and they have each other's backs. Jesse, I don't know if that was a miss on there or not, or trying to get another mech there, but oh, that's a self-destruct you definitely want back, especially with less than 10 seconds left. All you have left is that amp matrix. You're living on a prayer right there. And Keegs gets a step with the self-destruct after taking out Barry. But that immortality field did save the rest of the team. But this not gonna matter very much. The damage might have already been done. And bodies are piling up on the side of Iridium. It's just Stefan left, and that is gonna be it for this round. Throwing her bad, saying, "We're not out of this just yet."
No, and it's one of those things where it's like they gave their valiant effort. It was insane. You saw Keegs go off. They should have had a big 4-man bomb, but of course the lamp was still up. But one thing they got to do, though, is they basically got to cap the entirety of the map, which is going to be very, very difficult against how well Iridium has been playing. Yes, they just didn't cap it on attack for this last point, but you got to remember, Eichenwalde 3rd point is one of the I would say it's one of the more difficult points to cap, especially, it's not the hardest, but it's one of the most difficult, especially if you have a team like that throwing about we're doing, where they were able to layer their ultimates very, very well. So if they were able to just win one fight, they easily could have capped it. But it's one of those things where it's like they were able to get some great picks and some great trades, but they just weren't able to fully complete it.
And now, you're Iridium. This is it. You need to prevent throwing her bad from reaching to the end. You do that, you win this map, you win the series, and you go on to face the winner of the Bandicoot or 3DG Esports whenever we get an update on that. But you give up Eichenwalde. We head to our assault map of Hanamura. We have not seen an assault map pretty much in a long time. Well, I haven't seen an assault map in a long time at least. But here we go. Unfeatures, they're going to do the double shield comp here. Hoping this would work out for them. But we'll see what they can do against a little dive style, brawly, whatever comp. I'm not good with naming comps, but we're seeing some action going on. Lego going back to the classic Reinhardt to hope get things going, but we got a trade going on happening. Both Veli and Polo are out of the fight, so it's a 5v5. But it looks like it's going to be favored. Yeah, more trades are happening. Let's see what the trade's going to benefit in the end here. And still we're seeing trades after trade happening. But eventually, it is Iridium that's going to be coming out of those dirty pipe and coming out of the other side clean, at least for this fight.
Yeah, one thing too that I want to point out is that when they were rotating to like this little mini room right here, Stickdrift decided to use the lamp. So that Throwing or Bad could have seen that opportunity. I don't know if they saw it because obviously we've got a different point of view. So I don't know if they saw that and decided to try to take advantage of it. But if they were able to see that and just decided not to take advantage of it, that's something that you wish you would take back if you were them, if you were Throwing or Bad.
Yeah, it looks like Throwing's gonna wait a little longer for this next team fight and wait for Smarties to get back, who got instant deleted by Stefan, who now has a Dragon Strike on standby. 4 ults on standby on the side of Iridium. And we're gonna see if their uses of the ults are gonna be well. There's gonna be the Dragon Strike. Won't get anybody killed here, but Saya will get everybody with the sound barrier. Everybody benefiting from that one. Abstract taking care of both the supports. And looks like, yeah, that sound barrier was well timed. Bob will take care of Veli, but Bob probably would have been safer later on, as Throwing or Bad is gonna get that point.
Yeah, and that's how you gotta play against a double shield, is you just gotta sort of, especially since you have that Mei wall where it's basically another shield, you use that shield to block off their vision, you speed in, and then as soon as that wall drops, your Ryan needs to swing on everybody. And they were able to do that very, very well, especially with the Shatter.
Oh, that was a nice grab pull by Unfeatured to get everybody into a graphitic flux by Jussie, and that pretty much didn't get much kills, but it did create enough pressure to force Throwing or Bad to just fall back and try to live another day.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the more difficult parts for Throwing or Bad, since obviously they only really have 2 ways they can go in. But especially since you still have that Mei wall, just I would say just wall up this area that you see basically all 6 of Iridium X, just sort of hold onto it and then try to go under the low ground.
Oh, looks like Throwing or Bad's trying to go for the flank, trying to go behind them, and looks like Iridium was expecting just that, and they look like they're ready, and the high ground really benefiting Iridium really well here so far. But here comes the self-destruct. Oh, nobody gets taken down at all. Stefan does get Smarties with the Dragon Strike, but here's a Blizzard that's gonna come in, and we're seeing trades again, but question is, who's gonna benefit? Well, it looks like Iridium just recovering from those traded blows to take this team fight mostly, but Keegs does take Stefan, trying to get some ult charge. But this looks like it could be another retreat for Throwing.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where it's like since obviously you lost your diva, so you couldn't just go in as 5. You sort of had to sit there, but they knew that you were there because you can't really get out that way. One thing I would have done if I was Throwing or Bad is I would have just gone the entire bottom route and just gone to this other side high ground.
Well, looks like they're gonna be going ahead and trying to head upstairs and trying to meet them on the high ground. They're just trying to take the battle to them. And now Smarties brings out the Amp Matrix, and Bob's gonna go on the other side to make sure, and yeah, Bob gets melted.
Oh,
and
no.
that graphitic flux, that's a smart graphitic flux to make sure Abstract couldn't use that Deadeyes, and also takes Lego out of the fight. So if you are Jussie, you just made a high IQ play of denying Abstract even a chance of using a Deadeyes and getting some more.
Yeah, and it's very difficult for Throwing or Bad to even touch this payload because they can't even touch it if they get poked out. So swapping to this sort of monkey dive comp is going to be their best bet, even though it's going to be very difficult to do.
And Iridium is just taking full advantage of the high ground, and basically they're just being Obi-Wan Kenobi right now against the Throwing or Bad being Anakin back in episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I have the high ground, says Obi-Wan. I think Anakin says, you underestimate my power, and then you know the story from there.
But it's one of those things where it's like we basically are seeing the death of Throwing or Bad right now. Iridium is this high ground is just too strong for them to hold.
Abstract coming behind and just assassinates Stefan, so this could be a little bit. It looks like Abstract will retreat, getting spotted. So you lost a DPS, but not all hopes lost to try and get the full hold. They're gonna allow throwing to do a little bit of progress. Bob's gonna come out, and it's gonna create a little pressure. And Bob is put to sleep. Belly gets the false bomb on unfeatured. They're getting some progress made on here, and looks like if you're one of the members of Iridium, I would want to try and contest this. But Fairy does take out Veli. They're retreating. They're playing the Overwatch version of zone coverage right here, trying to allow some progress and then trying to get the
hacked
stop.
out of it.
There we go. But here comes the self-destruct, only gonna get the immortality field. So this might not be good, but Lego, I spoke too soon, does get the environmental kill. 2 environmental kills on the members of Iridium. There's still hope here. Just the only one left. They're gonna get the second point. They have a minute and a half to push it all the way to the end. So hold the phone, folks. Throwing your bat is still in it.
Oh yeah, they are. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but Abstract actually hacked Jussie out of the flux, so that way they weren't able to use it. They just started the animation, and then they got hacked out of it immediately. So that's one of those plays where it's one of those timing things where it's just perfect timing for them, and they were able to win the team fight off of it.
Oh yes, best team fights are won when you have the best timing that you could ever have. Rally provides some extra armor, and it looks like it's working so far, and that immortality field doesn't even last long. Look at the carnage that Throwing Your Bat is pulling off right now. Two tanks both out of the fight, and they're just pulling a lot of pressure, and there's 30 seconds left, but look how close they are. They're about to reach the end, but Iridium saying, no, we want to try to win this series here and now, but Smarties is out unfriended. Lego's taken out, and the bodies continue to pile up here. And Throwing Your Bat is gonna force Hanamura here.
Oh, whew, that was, like I said, go back to the brawl. They were able to win on the brawl. Yes, they had a little bit of a hiccup on second point, which is gonna happen. That high ground is very good, but they were able to win it on the brawl comp, and it was just they were able to make those plays. Jussie was insane. Both teams were able to make plays that I don't even think I could see in some high elo gameplay.
And I think this momentum change started with Abstract pretty much coming behind and taking out Stefan in one of those team fights back at the second point of Eichenwalde.
Yeah, just being able to get that early pick and making it so they didn't have to really worry about that damage from the Hanzo. They were just able to take them out, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, let's keep this rolling. They got another pick, and then it was next thing you know, it's third point and there's one fight left.
And now we have 2-1 right now. Still in favor of Iridium. They can still take the series here and now with Hanamura. They're gonna probably have to make some minor adjustments that I think Iridium says they'll need to be back in their full glory of domination, just like back in Junkertown. But yeah, let's go back to Abstract. Just pretty much headed up to the castle. So I'm saying, if we can't beat them on the low ground, maybe I could just go sneak by and try to take out one of their members while they're not looking. And that's pretty much what it was there against Stefan.
Yeah, and it also looks like that Iridium X is doing very, very well. But one thing that it's looking like they're having trouble with is defending that sort of brawl style. Like, this is the second time where we saw it on Oasis. They weren't able to really hold on to it. Beginning of Eichenwalde, like, yes, they were running it really well, but then as soon as they got that momentum stopped, they weren't able to regain it. So if I'm Deep Dish, or if I'm one of these other teams and Iridium makes it to the next round, I might be looking at that and be like, okay, might be some places where we're able to take advantage of Iridium and try to roll them over.
In an update, University of South Florida got defeated 3-0 by Iridium X, another one of the X teams that are in the UGC League. So they'll be going into the semifinals as well, alongside Deep Dish. And this will be alongside Squirtle Squad in the intermediate division, excuse me. So lots of updates that have been happening here in this UGC League. The big update was Deep Dish taking care of business 3-0. Excuse me there, against... and now with my sneezing made me forget for a minute there. Oh, thanks a lot, sneezes. So anyways, now we're gonna head to Hanamura. Assault maps, which we know are gonna be taken away by Overwatch 2, being replaced with push, which I personally enjoy push maps.
I do too. The push is one of those game modes where when it came out, it seemed very one-sided with it only being 8 minutes, but I feel like that time change that they did is something that's very good. I wish they would, if they did keep that smaller time bank of like 5-ish minutes, maybe make it 2 rounds. But it's one of those things too where it's like Hanamura will be missed, these assault maps will be missed, because it came out 6 years ago, so it's going to be those things where it's like, oh, let's put it to Hanamura, and then it's like, oh, wait, well, that's not in the game anymore, so we can't do it. But one thing I'm looking to see Iridium play here is going back to maybe that double shield again, especially since we saw how well it did work for that time being on Eichenwalde, especially with Hanamura being a very double shield heavy map. And if I'm throwing her bad, just go back to that brawl. It worked. Maybe go to a sim instead and try to just cheese it and TP to point. But who knows? We could see some pop-off moments and just people play.
And for Iridium X, yeah, stick to their basics. It's what helped them win the last part of Oasis, helped them win Junkertown. Is when we saw them do that double bubble comp is what really worked out well for them the most for Iridium. The Jussie going for the Zarya unfeatured, the Winston. And it's worked out for them really well. So we'll see if they do that or something else. Try to catch throwing off guard. Looks like throwing had some notes there from Eichenwalde, but we're going to see what Iridium can do. Their championship repeat run is on the line here. As they did drop Eichenwalde, they're hoping not to drop any more for the rest of this series.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those things where it's like, if obviously this is still match point for Iridium X, and if they don't come out and win this, it could be very, very difficult for them to actually win a map 5 because that momentum will be swung so far in throwing her bad's favor.
It looks like Fairy's going to be going back to the Tracer. Keep in mind, Fairy did a lot of damage back in Oasis. 37 elims back in Oasis. 25 of them were on the objective, so Fairy can be quite deadly when it comes to holding off the objective or trying to capture the objective, so we'll have to keep that in mind here.
Yeah, and also, I have no idea what this comp is coming out from Iridium X, this sort of ball diva comp. It's something that's going to be very interesting to watch, especially against the sim TP that I talked about for the side of throwing her bad.
Oh, I would expect this teleporter to be from choke to point. I think Iridium's going to need to look out for that one. They go over the road. They're thinking of something different, but it looks like Iridium was ready for that one. Despite Jussie being taken out of the fight, they already even took out Belly and Saya right off the bat. Less DPS and healing to offer, but the teleporter thing almost caught them off guard, but they suffered a few casualties, but they're at least they're in a manageable position right now. As Smarties gets deleted right on the point, and all that's left is Saya, and yep, not for long.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like I talk about I don't know what's going on, but I feel like that Iridium X might have did their homework, and then maybe that Maybe they saw that Throwing Our Bad likes to do this TP and set up the ball right here so that way they can just boop him off completely. But it was a great play by them. Unfeatured set up in the right spot to get a big boop down, got a great anti-nade, and now they're in control of this team fight.
Yeah, Valley's saying from the side of Throwing, saying, we tried the teleporter, unfortunately it didn't work out. I'm going to switch back over to the Tracer. So no more teleporter trickery. Here comes a barrage that comes out. Not gonna get anybody, but a pulse bomb does get Abstract. So hold the phone on this fight, at least just yet. Here comes everybody from Throwing going on to the point, making progress. Belly does fall, but both supports on each side, one support on each side is down for the count. The less healing for both sides, and who's gonna be deterred by this more? We will have to find out. Well, it looks like Throwing's going to be deterred more by this. And here comes the self-destruct. Not going to get anybody, but look at what Throwing did. They got one tick so far, so not all hope was lost. They did at least get a small little victory by getting at least a tick.
Yeah, and with this, at least, if I'm throwing this out there, if Throwing Our Bad are able to full hold Iridium X on their attack, there is no draw available. It is only a win or a loss coming out now if, of course, Throwing Our Bad are not able to completely cap the second
That's
point.
a still good stick there on Polo by Veli, but Fairy will eventually avenge his healer. Polo, the captain, taken out, but systems at max indeed for Stefan to try to get some good damage out. It should create a little pressure, but Abstract is almost done, and that's Abstract now out of the fight. But oh, when you think it's gonna come into Iridium's way, just Throwing just continues to pile on the bodies of Iridium all over the battlefield, and now they're continuing to make progress on the point. They get a second, almost got a second tick. They're 0.1% away from getting it, but now they are gonna get it and some more. And knowing this fight's gonna end, only the tanks are left, I think this is gonna go the way. Oh my lord! Woo! They got one of them, but that's enough to get the first point, and now we're heading to point B.
Yeah, and that was a great play by them to be able to they were able to get that first tick at the first point, and we saw it again like how it was on Eichenwalde, where they get that first kill and they just absolutely just roll Iridium X. They were able to turn the fight win so much in their favor.
So now we go to point B, which usually it's a little harder to pull off with how close the spawn is to the defense. Here comes the justice reigning. Yeah, no justice served here. Defense Matrix makes sure that Abstract finishes off Stefan, and Abstract gets another kill on Polo. And now we got Tactical Visor out, and the carnage just continues for the side of Throwing Her Bad. And look at the progress they've made. Only 2 members of Iridium on the point. It's Polo and Justy. The former gets instantly melted, and Justy is gonna eventually get taken out. Oh, Unfeatured is back. Does get the minefield off in time, and let's see if that happens. We got Stefan was on the point. The stalls are coming in. So they're gonna try to do the best they can. They're at least try to melt clock away if they can't stop the hold, or if they can't stop the progress. The least they can do is at least melt the clock, but they are getting some kills. But someone needs to pay attention to the point.
Abstract's back.
There's gonna be Iridium X is gonna be back on the point, but that's inevitable has happened.
Woo.
But
Okay.
they did delete a lot of clock off, so they did leave them with only a minute 35 left.
I want somebody to check on Abstract and see if it's the same person, because these past 2 maps, Abstract has been playing out of his mind. and it's just been insane. He had 8 kills in one fight. And that's unheard of, especially since you're playing soldiers. You seem like, okay, you're only going to get really like 1 or 2 maybe, but he was just playing out of that mind. He was holding that high ground to himself. He got that visor off, and he's just playing out of his mind. It seems like we just put, like, they just shoved G Fuel into his veins, and they just told him, okay, go to work now.
Cue the Doom music right there. Just cue the Doom music. That's pretty much what it is right there. Yeah, when you hear the music, demons run. Doom Guy is here to slay you all, and Doom Guy is Abstract right there, who we are going to be seeing on the Ashe, and unfortunately, Karma, unfortunately, is taken out of the game there, so my co-caster is unfortunately
Yep, my game just crashed. So
hey, you're back.
It's me. It's not the other people. It's at least me this time. Somebody that's not playing. So that's good at least.
So we'll get a pause, and we're gonna get you back in. And this will be a very quick pause right here. Yeah, this is like the second person to have a game crash in this match. It's a caster this time.
Yes, at least it's not one of the players, so it's like, okay, they're not the ones taken out of it. I feel bad from obviously myself crashing, but at least it's before the match, nothing too dangerous, anything like that. So who knows?
So yeah, if you could compare Abstract to a deadly wide receiver, I would compare Abstract to Cooper Kupp. He's just Cooper Cupping the competition this last few matches. Abstract is playing out of his mind. Think about Cooper Kupp in Super Bowl 56 in the second half, just carrying that entire offense.
Yeah, and I hope we're able to see that again, especially with this Ashe pick, just sort of getting that dynamite off, especially since I obviously can't see what the other team is running, but it's going to be something that's going to be very difficult for them to touch, especially with how far away that the Ashe can play.
And now we're going to see, yeah, oh my goodness, and it's a good thing we have a pause there, because Dick Drift, unfortunately, I think, had a game crash or dealing with issues again. So yeah, like Jussie said, perfect timing we had this pause going. So meanwhile, let's talk Abstract. You said last 2 matches, he was kind of not there, but ever since Eichenwalde, and in this match, he has just been a beast. Yeah. So many eliminations, including, like you said before, 8 elims alone in that last team fight.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, where it's like you called it perfectly, where it's the Cooper Kupp in the Super Bowl. He's going to take his team on his back. Yes, but I would say earlier in the matches, in Junkertown, in Oasis, we didn't really see him as much, just sort of chilling in the background. Did have some great plays, but this past fight, you just saw him. Okay, now it's my backpack time. Now it's my time to carry my team. They've been helping me through this so far. It's the playoffs. It's winner go home. It's my turn to carry this team.
So now Abstract channeled the inner Cooper Kupp on offense. Let's see if he can channel his inner, let's say, Aaron Donald on defense.
Hopefully we don't get another crash as we're starting.
Let's hope to the Overwatch deities that we don't have a crash. Dick Drift, meanwhile, will go ahead and play the Moira this time around, go for some more area healing, so get some more healing output going, and more versatile healing at that. They're going to go for the aggressive approach, no teleport, going for some honesty. Trade-offs are happening, but it's 4v5 in favor of throwing. You don't have as much healing now. You've got to rely on Stick now to get the healing going, but Jussie's saying, less healing. That's good enough for me. We got a tick at least. And we're about to get 2 ticks. And it looks like they're gonna get this one. Not many, they didn't get many eliminations, but they did enough to at least get the point. That's some good pressure there out of Iridium.
Yeah, and that was a 40-second cap too. As soon as they were touched it, they didn't really have anybody to really contest it because both the tanks were dead. So they just sort of had to let Iridium X take the fight from them.
And now Coalescence is active. Unfortunately, Unfeatured not going to be able to be healed because being a victim of the bio grenade. So nothing Stick Drift could be able to, nothing the healers could do. But the Abstract's Bob did a little bit, doing something. We've seen some trade-offs happening, and it looks like the trade-offs is going to go in favor of throwing on this one. They recovered from that early loss of point A there.
Yeah, and this is one of those things too, especially with how quick the respawn timers are. They do have to hold this map for at least 5 minutes. I would say they want to have more time than Iridium X's on attack if Iridium X are able to cap this entire point.
And it looks like we're seeing Stefan trying to be all stealthy, trying to make a move and get spotted, but gonna take 5 in for a ride on the EMP land. And both two of the players that were EMP taken out of the fight right away. Look at that aggression right there. And oh, they paid attention. They minded Saya. They know the Mercy can res, and they say no res for you. They got 2 ticks right away. Valley is going to be duplicating the Winston, but not for long. They melt that duplicate out. Valley gets melted too. Bob comes out. Oh! Polo just boops Bob out of the point and saying, no, you're not going to contest with them. I'm going to set my barriers up. I'm going to get my team there close to capturing this point with about 4 minutes left. And well, the stalls are happening. They're going to try to burn as much of the time as possible. Well, I called it. Iridium will get both points. They got 4 minutes, 3 seconds left, but Polo, I gotta say, the IQ play there in that fight, using the boop to send Bob further away from the point and keep them as safe as possible. If not for that, who knows if they could have gotten the point.
Yeah, especially with how much HP that Bob has. Like, obviously you can hack it, you can sleep it, you can sort of just let it be, but it's still contesting the point, so you'll have to get rid of it at some point. So just being able to boop it off and be like, okay, cool, it's gone now, it's not contesting the point, bye-bye. It was a great play by Polo, and just making sure that, okay, if we can gap this point with just barely over 4 minutes remaining.
Oh, that whole round, I consider that the Joe Burrow to T. Higgins special right there. Or I should say the whole Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase special we saw against the Ravens and I forget what week that was. Jamar Chase was covered by 3 defenders. He caught the ball and he somehow escaped and took it all the way for 6. That's basically what it was.
Yeah, and again, we're going back to throwing or bat, going back to the sort of brawl comp, something that it was proven like, hey, this is working. Yes, it does have a little bit less, but at the same time, it's something that can be very good for them in the long run.
And now it looks like Stefan's going back to the pharmacy duo right there, while Stick Drift's trying to keep the other 3 healed as well. And it's working so far, taking care of Abstract, but I think they're playing back just in case Abstract decides to summon a teleporter behind their back. So I think they learned their lesson from last time.
Yeah, and it looks like that they're trying to set up again for that sort of the TP play, try to get it on the point.
Oh, there it is. But they were able to destroy it. Only 2 members made it there. And looks like they're gonna, looks like 3 made it there, but they all get melted off. They're well prepared for that one this time around.
Yeah, and this just looks like something where it's like, okay, we've been training against the sort of Sim TP comp, and it just isn't working for throwing or bad right now.
And now you're down to 30 seconds for throwing or bad. If you don't get any progress at all, you can only draw at best, and you're down 2-1 against Iridium. You're starting to get the momentum. You gotta get this momentum going. They're gonna go to a different point, but Iridium once again was a little prepared for it, but we're seeing some kills going off from Abstract taking care of Pharmacy, and they're saying, Oh, you thought you were prepared for this again? No, not this time.
Oh.
But it's only Unfeatured left here on the point, trying to hold off the point for as long as he can.
Oh.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
It looks like
it
they're
looks
getting
like
at least 33%. And yeah, I think they're going to go ahead and cap this one. I don't think any member of Iridium's going to make it. Stickdrift's is going to retreat back. 30 seconds left. Throwing your pad, it's now or never.
yeah, they get one push. I don't like them TPing this, especially since they know that they have it set up. I would say I'd just go to main and just TP straight to point. Yes, you have Unfeatured's mine, but it's going to be one of those things where it's like you'll just have to play with it.
Oh, the teleporter going right to the point, but here comes the minefield to try and get something going. And everybody else is going to try to converge right onto point B. And Stefan will get smart. He's out. Abstract, the big hero of round one, is out. One of each is out. Self-destruct out. Gonna pressure the rest of the members of Throwing Your Bad.
Oh.
That is gonna be it right there. They'll get 1 point, but that's everything else. That's it. So now the stakes are here. You have your requirements. If you're Iridium, you capture point A. You draw at worst. But if you can get 33% of point B, you win Hanamura, you win the series, and you move on to the semifinals to face either Bandicoot or 3DG Esports.
Yeah, and it's going to be an uphill battle for Throwing Your Bad. Yes, they are a defense, and it could be one of those things where it's like, okay, we got to play it. But Iridium X were able to capture point A, in 47 seconds last time. So they'll have to change something up, and it's going to be difficult for them, especially if Iridium X decide to keep this sort of zombie comp.
Yeah, we're going to see here. But offenses have been really good from both teams in this fight. Well, we've seen some good defensive moments, but the defenses, not very much. Both defenses I've seen have bent and broken in Hanamura so far. Compare that to the Bills versus Chiefs in the final 2 minutes of regulation and division, and you'll know what I will mean. And it looks like we're seeing Throwing just play right to the point. They know that Iridium's going to be very aggressive.
Yeah, and it looks like that they're basically set up. They know that they're going to try to run the zombie comp, and Throwing Your Bad are just like, okay, we see that you're doing this. We're just going to set up as far away as we can and just basically run the entirety of, like, just anti-dive, monkey comps that we can.
They're going the high ground here. That's smart. I think they anticipated that Torb turret there, and you know Guthix loves to see a Torbjorn out onto the battlefield. We rarely don't see it, and you can see what I mean. The turret takes out Barry, and that's going to be pretty much a hold for right now for Throwing.
Yeah, and that's a minute wasted. That's a minute off the clock that Iridium X doesn't have, and they're swapping it back. They're swapping it to a brawl comp, something that's going to be very, very good against this sort of Arisa Diva comp.
You know, Iridium, they see something that doesn't work, they do like to make the adjustments, and make these adjustments they will until it works against the other team, and they're going to go the other way and avoid that turret altogether. I'd say that's a little bit of a smart move, because if you're distracted by the turret, and now that turret's still going to be causing some problems on that angle. And now they're going to push into there and avoid the turret entirely. But here comes an Amp Matrix. And that's a good area denial, and you see why Unfeatured getting melted by that right there. And that's another big team fight win for pretty much Throwing. That's another minute wasted right there. So this defense is just solidifying.
Yeah, and one thing too that they just decided not to do is they just left the Torb turret just sitting in the corner. So even though they were trying to contest the point, they were just getting free damage in for Throwing Your Bad.
Yeah, if you're Iridium, I think they're gonna have to get rid of that turret right away. if they can, that is. And they're going to try to ignore it again. They're going to try and run it back, but you see the turret acting as an extra damager. You leave that alone, and that's going to be some pressure that's going to be on you right there. It looks like they're going to stick to the high grounds on this point A, and it looks like they're going to try to play this patiently right there. Here comes the Animatrix. Deadeyes comes. 2 ults are coming out. Neither of them are going to get anything out of it. Here comes the beat. There's a big one. The molten core comes out, and it's going to get canceled. So, got a tick at least. The turret is gone. And there's Iridium. They thought they had him in the bag for the defense, but Iridium, they know how to make the adjustments. They're going to take point A. They're going to have a minute 15 to try to get a 33% to win the game.
Yeah, and throwing or not is swapping to this ball comp, and if they draw here, it's going straight to Lejong, something that I feel like could be very, very well against both of these teams.
Yeah, it's just pretty much it's going to be huge right here, whether they can get the win or not. Eichenwalde will come out. Jussie takes out Saya. That's going to be less healing. Both supports are gone. So this could be a huge opportunity for Iridium to try to take the tick right here and now. And they might do this. They might be able to do this. With Veli is left. Lego's still very clinging on to life. It's going to have to retreat. And that is going to be it. The pressure was just too much. Iridium X takes Hanamura and takes the series 3-1 to advance to semifinals.
That was one of those. That was a great match. That was a great match as well for both teams, and something that you wish you could have seen go to another map.
Oh, look at Abstract though, just played out of his mind on the very first. Although this was round 3 right there. But Abstract, look at the 16,000 damage there from Abstract. Played out of his mind with the Symmetra, with the Soldier 76. 8 limbs alone in that fight. 1 fight in the first round. But I have to call it right now. Fairy has got to be our MVP of the match.
Oh yeah, it was insane. Fairy just played out of their mind the entire time. Yes, we talked about Abstract, and I would say if I had another MVP to go to throwing or bad, it would have to be between Abstract and Keeks, but Fairy was just the X factor on Iridium X, just playing out of their mind. We talked about Abstract so much because we were able to see it, but Fairy just did all the dirty work. I don't know if you guys saw at the end, but he had like 35 objective kills out of 43 eliminations or something like that. And that's insane that you're able to do that much objective kills and just be control of the point that much.
So from that to the Oasis combined, that is at least 80 elims across Oasis and Hanamura. 60 of those, 75% from both Oasis and Hanamura being objective kills. That is impressive. Fairy knows how to get the job done on the objective. Hence why MVP went to Fairy.
And this is one of those matches too where it's insane, and it went back and forth, and I think as we were coming into it, we were sort of expecting maybe a 3-0 from Iridium X, but throwing or bad were able to just take it. Like Oasis was a great point where it's like, okay, it could have gone either way. Hanamura could have gone either way. Eichenwalde, they were able to win, so it could have been a 3-1 going the opposite direction, but Iridium X were able to just come out on top and be the winners of the game.
And with that, we're going to be seeing Fairy and Iridium X again in semifinals, going against either Bandicoot or 3DG Esports. They keep their title defense alive. So 3DG, they got the update, won the match against Bandicoot, so they're going to be facing them in semifinals. And winner of that match, most likely, we're predicting, are going to have to face Deep Dish. Iridium, they do have their works cut out for them for their title defense run. And they got the tools, they got the moves to do it. They just have to, they're going to be going up against some good teams here in 3DG, and most likely Deep Dish, who's pretty much be the team to beat, most likely. But anyways, that is going to wrap up here on our beginner playoffs quarterfinals. That was a fun match we saw there, Karma. An honor to cast with you. Where can we find you on Twitter or on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at KarmaOW. I don't really post a lot, but I will be posting during the upcoming NFL season, hopefully a bit more. You can find me on YouTube at Karma _OW, both with a 4. Where can we find you, Mr. Adamsmasher?
You find me at the Adamsmasher on Twitter. I tweet whenever I go live on my Twitch, which you can find me at twitch.tv/AdamSmasher93, where I play a variety of games, including Guitar Hero on Tuesdays mostly. So anyways, to my good buddy Karma, and to Xiuna, our fantastic producer, I am Adamsmasher saying good night and have a wonderful rest of your weekend.